There's a fruit sitting in your fruit bowl right now that you probably think is one of the safe ones. You've been eating it for years, maybe even recommending it to your grandchildren, believing it's helping your health. But if you're managing blood sugar, that fruit could be working against you every single time you eat it, quietly pushing your glucose higher, undoing the progress you've worked so hard for, and you wouldn't even know it's happening. I've sat across from patients who did everything right. They cut out soda, they stopped eating cake, they were careful with bread and rice, and yet their A1C numbers barely moved. When we finally looked closely at their diet, the surprise wasn't in the cookie jar, it was in the fruit bowl. Here's the part that gives me real hope for you today. One of my patients made a single change, swapping just a few of the wrong fruits for the right ones, and within a few months, her A1C dropped in a way that genuinely surprised both of us. I'll share exactly what she changed later in this video. So today, I'm going to walk you through the 4 fruits that tend to work against your blood sugar the most. Some of them may truly surprise you. And then the 4 fruits that can actually help lower your blood sugar and support a healthier A1C over time. We'll go through them one by one, starting with the mildest offender and building up to the most powerful fruit on this entire list. And stay with me until the end, because I'll also share a simple bonus habit that can make a real difference in how your body handles fruit sugar altogether. Before we go any further, I want to ask you something. What's your most recent fasting number or your last A1C reading? Type it in the comments right now. No judgment here, only patients working together toward better health. And while you're at it, tell me the fruit you reach for most often. I have a feeling some of you are about to be surprised by what's actually happening when you eat it. Knowing where you're starting from makes everything I share next so much more meaningful for you. Let's start with the fruits you may want to think twice about. Let's start with grapes, because I know this one might catch you off guard. Grapes feel like the perfect snack. Small, sweet, easy to pop a handful while you're watching television or sitting with the grandkids. That's exactly why they're so easy to underestimate. Nobody thinks twice about a bowl of grapes the way they would about a slice of cake. But here's what's happening inside your body when you eat them. Grapes are small, and that makes them deceptively concentrated in natural sugar. Because there's very little fiber to slow things down, that sugar moves into your bloodstream quickly, and your blood sugar can climb faster than you'd expect from something so small and innocent looking. I've had patients tell me they only had a few grapes, not realizing that a cup of grapes can carry as much sugar as several teaspoons, eaten in minutes, not stretched out like a full meal. That's the real issue. Portion size sneaks up on you with grapes in a way it doesn't with larger fruits. If you love grapes, you don't have to eliminate them completely. Keep the portion small, think a handful, not a bowlful, and pair them with a few nuts or a slice of cheese to slow that sugar absorption down. Grapes are the mildest concern on this list, but they're a great reminder that with fruit, size and speed matter just as much as sweetness. Now here's one that surprises almost everyone. Kiwi. It shows up on every superfood list, so most people assume it's automatically safe for blood sugar. I understand the confusion. The fuzzy skin and bright green color scream health food. But research tells a more nuanced story. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that kiwi, despite its fiber content, still carries enough natural sugar per serving to cause a noticeable rise in blood glucose when eaten in larger portions, especially on an empty stomach. Here's what's really going on. Kiwi does have fiber, which is genuinely good, but the sugar concentration in a single serving can outpace what that fiber is able to slow down, particularly if you're eating 2 or 3 at once, which is easy to do since they're small. I've had patients tell me they eat kiwi specifically because they heard it was good for diabetes, only to see their morning numbers creep up unexpectedly. The fix isn't avoidance, it's timing and portion. One kiwi, alongside a source of protein like a boiled egg or plain yogurt, is a much gentler way to enjoy it. Mango is the fruit that stops people in their tracks when I mention it because it feels like such a treat. Juicy, tropical, the kind of fruit that makes you feel like you're doing something good for yourself. And in many ways, mango does offer real nutrients. But when it comes to blood sugar, it's one of the fruits I ask patients to be most mindful of. A single cup of mango carries a meaningful amount of natural sugar, And research published in the Journal of Nutrition has shown that fruits with this kind of sugar density can produce a sharper glucose response compared to lower sugar options, especially when eaten alone rather than as part of a balanced meal. What tends to happen is this: someone enjoys a generous serving of mango after lunch, feeling satisfied and virtuous, only to check their numbers an hour later and find them higher than expected. It's not that mango is forbidden. It's that the portion most people pour into a bowl is often 2 to 3 servings without realizing it. A few small cubes paired with a handful of nuts lets you enjoy that tropical sweetness without the steep climb. Oranges might be the most confusing fruit on this list because they've been marketed as a health icon for generations. Vitamin C, immune support, the classic eat your fruit recommendation. It's hard to imagine an orange being anything but good for you. Here's where the nuance matters. A whole orange, eaten as is, does come with fiber that helps your body manage its natural sugar. But research published in Diabetes Care has shown that the form fruit changes everything. Whole fruit produces a much gentler blood sugar response than its juiced counterpart, where the fiber is stripped away and the sugar becomes far more concentrated and fast-acting. This is where I see so many well-meaning patients go wrong. They skip the whole orange and instead start their morning with a glass of orange juice, thinking it's the healthier choice. In reality, that glass can spike blood sugar faster than eating the fruit itself, sometimes within the first hour of the day. If you enjoy oranges, choose the whole fruit, eat it slowly, and skip the juice altogether. Your morning numbers will thank you. Before we get into the fruits that actually work in your favor, let me pause here for just a moment. If any of this is landing for you, if you're starting to see your own kitchen a little differently right now, that tells me you're exactly the kind of person this channel was built for. Hit subscribe, because what we cover next matters just as much as everything you've heard so far. I put out videos like this regularly, real, practical guidance for people who are done guessing and ready to actually understand their bodies. Alright, let's talk about the fruits worth adding. Now we shift into something completely different. Up until this point, we've talked about caution. But blackberries mark the turning point, the first fruit on this list that actually works in your favor. What makes blackberries special isn't just that they're low in sugar, it's the ratio. For every gram of natural sugar in a blackberry, there's a remarkable amount of fiber sitting right alongside it, and that fiber acts almost like a buffer, slowing down how quickly that sugar reaches your bloodstream. Think of it this way: some fruits hit your system like a wave crashing all at once. Blackberries release their sugar more like a slow, steady tide. Your body has time to keep up instead of scrambling to catch up. Patients who swap their evening fruit habit for a handful of blackberries often notice their morning fasting numbers are calmer, more stable, less of that unexplained spike they used to dread. And practically speaking, they're easy. Toss a handful into plain yogurt, eat them straight from the container, no prep required. Blackberries won't move mountains on their own, but they're a genuinely smart foundation to build the rest of this list on. Guava is one I wish more of my patients knew about, because it's quietly one of the most powerful fruits on this entire list, and almost nobody talks about it. Here's a simple breakdown of what's actually inside a guava. One medium guava has roughly 8 grams of natural sugar, but it also carries close to 5 grams of fiber, one of the highest fiber-to-sugar ratios of any fruit you'll find in the grocery store. Compare that to something like a mango, where the sugar far outweighs the fiber, and you can start to see why guava behaves so differently in your body. That fiber does real work. It slows digestion, softens how quickly sugar enters your bloodstream, and helps you feel fuller for longer, which matters if you've ever noticed you're hungry again an hour after eating fruit. Guava also brings a meaningful amount of vitamin C and potassium along with it, supporting your immune system and your circulation at the same time. If you can find it fresh, guava makes a wonderful afternoon snack, sliced simply, maybe with a pinch of cinnamon. We're getting close now to the most powerful fruit on this list. Something interesting happens when researchers study low glycemic fruits, and apricots almost always land near the top of that conversation. A study referenced in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition points to apricots as one of the gentler fruits for blood sugar regulation, largely because of how slowly their natural sugars are absorbed compared to fruits like mango or grapes. Here's why that matters for you. Apricots are small, but don't let that fool you into thinking they're similar to grapes. Their sugar content is lower, and what sugar they do have is balanced by a good amount of fiber and water content. which means your body isn't hit with a rapid flood of glucose. I've noticed something with patients who add apricots into their routine. Because they're naturally lower in calories and gentle on digestion, they make an easy afternoon snack that doesn't leave you sluggish an hour later, something so many fruits unfortunately do. Fresh apricots are ideal, though if you choose dried, watch your portion closely, since drying concentrates the sugar significantly. 2 to 3 fresh apricots is a smart, satisfying choice. Now, we've arrived at the most powerful fruit on this entire list. We've saved the most powerful fruit for last, and I think once you hear why, you'll understand exactly what makes plums so different from everything else on today's list. A single plum carries around 7 grams of natural sugar, paired with nearly 1 gram of fiber and a generous dose of antioxidants called polyphenols. That combination is rare. Those polyphenols don't just sit there quietly. Early research suggests they may help your cells respond more efficiently to insulin, meaning the sugar entering your bloodstream gets escorted into your cells more smoothly, rather than lingering and building up. Let me tell you about a patient of mine, a woman named Linda, 68 years old. When she first came to me, her A1C was sitting at 8.2, and she felt defeated. She'd tried cutting carbs, walking more, even gave up bread entirely, yet her numbers barely shifted. When we reviewed her diet together, I noticed she leaned heavily on mango and grape smoothies most mornings, thinking she was doing everything right. We made one change. She swapped her morning fruit for 2 fresh plums alongside a small handful of almonds and kept everything else the same. 12 weeks later, her A1C had dropped to 7.1. Not from restriction, not from giving up fruit altogether, but from choosing the right one. That's the story I want you to carry with you today. This isn't about fear or deprivation. It's about understanding your body well enough to work with it instead of against it. Fresh plums, eaten whole with the skin on, give you the most benefit. 2 a day is a reasonable, sustainable habit. Something you can genuinely keep up with, not just try for a week and abandon. You now know the 4 fruits worth watching closely, and the 4 that can genuinely support your numbers. What you do with that knowledge starting tomorrow morning is entirely up to you. Here's something I don't want you to miss before we close out. Timing matters almost as much as the fruit itself. Eating fruit earlier in the day, rather than right before bed, gives your body more hours of activity to put that sugar to use, instead of letting it sit while you sleep. Second, never eat fruit completely alone if you can help it. Pairing it with a source of protein or healthy fat, a few almonds, a spoon of natural peanut butter, even a slice of cheese, slows down how quickly that sugar reaches your bloodstream. And one more thing worth remembering, dried fruit is not the same as fresh. The drying process removes water and concentrates sugar dramatically, so a small handful of dried mango or dried apricots can carry far more sugar than you'd expect from the fresh version. Small adjustments like these can make a real difference in how your body responds. Before you go, I want to ask you something important. Which of these 4 fruits are you going to reach for first this week? Guava, apricots, blackberries, or plums? Tell me in the comments below. And if you've already noticed your energy or your numbers shift after changing something as small as your fruit choice, share that too. Someone reading through these comments tonight might need to hear exactly that. If today gave you even one thing you can use tomorrow morning, subscribe, so I can keep sharing what I've learned over these years of sitting across from patients just like you. Managing your blood sugar isn't about fear, and it was never about giving up the foods you love. It's about knowledge, small choices, and steady progress. Linda's story is proof of what's possible. Your numbers can change too. I'll see you in the next one, and until then, take good care of yourself.